Mankind's perception is based on thought. Thought is the illusion that we give ourselves in thinking that something is right or wrong. But thought is not always a bad thing. Thought and memory, like Odin, are the two key points in finding wisdom. One thinks and one memorizes. If one does not think, one does not know. If one does not know, one can never know. When it comes to the perception of reality, we only think that we know. Because, like I said, perception comes from sight and mind. Without the perception of sight and without the perception of mind, we cannot have perception in general. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Without thought and without sight, man cannot have perception. And perception is really the key to reality. As we walk through these woods, we notice the trees, the forest, the light of the sun. These are all things that we see. But when we think about it, like for example, I see that the fern is green, or I think that the sun behind me is covered by clouds. When we think this, that's when it becomes perception. I may be reiterating the same points over and over again, but there is a point to all of this. Mankind has its own perception because mankind has its own thoughts. Each individual has their own perception of reality because each individual has their own thought of what reality is. Hope I don't get lost on this trail. Thank God I have a map. Mankind's collective perception is really the combined efforts of each one of our individual thoughts. Illusion is simply misguided thought and misguided perception. Illusion can be anything, if we really think about it, with those contexts in mind. Misguided people have misguided thoughts. Therefore, they live in an illusion. Someone says that they know the truth of what right and wrong is, good and evil, bad or ugly. They may have that truth, but that truth is really their perception. Now, when we share our perception and that perception becomes accepted, that's when we start to have truth. That mystical, magical word that all great philosophers look for is truth. Now, what I like truth is what I see, what I touch, what I smell, and furthermore, what I think. And when we combine all those aspects together, we find truth. Now, people who find truth think that they have found liberation, which is true. Liberation is simply to be free of thought that's misguided. But truth can be fickle. Let's take, for example, we have two people in the woods, and they see a moth. One man says the moth is green. The other man says the moth is brown. When they argue with each other, the one who says that the moth is green says, I know that this moth is green because I can feel it, I can touch it, and I can taste it. And I feel and I touch and I taste green. But the man who says that the moth is brown says, I see differently. I see that the moth is brown and I can feel it, I can touch it, and I can taste it as brown. Which man is correct? They're both wrong. They're both wrong because each man has their own individual perception of what the truth is. And when man has individual perception, they are liable to being wrong. But when the man who says that the moth is green, who said that the moth was brown, then we have an idea of what truth is, because both people are agreeing on the same perception, regardless if the moth is brown or green. So truth, like the concept of Maya, is really a collective idea. Man does not seek truth. Man can never know the true nature of reality. And the true nature of reality, as I have said, is perception and thought. Or, what we see and what we think.